So what are the benefits of the big picture thinking? Can somebody tell me? We have uh, been discussing on this off and on since morning. Yes, please. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on this, please? Okay, so let me just try to share with you. I hope I can share this with you on the screen. I'll just try to put it right on top of my face. Now, this is the logo of Indian Air Force. Can you see that, please?
Yes, yes.
This is the logo of Indian Air Force, and under the Ashok Kilat is an eagle. So what does the eagle do? The eagle soars very high, and eagle is able to have a bird's eye view, a bird's eye. So that's it was very thoughtfully put as the logo for Indian Air Force. And the whole idea is that when we touch the sky with glory, we are in a position to see the whole terrain, and almost with, like satellite cams or satellite eyes, we'll be able to find out what's going on, including going deep inside the enemy territory. So the benefits of big picture thinking would be that you can, probably see subsystems which are prevailing around you and around the problem at hand. And you may be in a position to solve those problems. So we are all here in the service industry. We are all here in the business of solving problems. And we need to have a very efficient process, a very smooth process, which can deliver the desired outcome. So if we try to understand what are the irritants in the system, if we try to minimize those, we can hope to get a good outcome. So would you agree with this? Can I have some thoughts on this, please? Understand decisions, holistic, very good. Thank you. So if you're trying to understand, derive to conclusion, because we have just 2-3 things with us. So we have a bundle of inputs, which is all your resources, your men, your machines, your guns, and everything. And then we have a process to do something. And then finally, we have an output. So within these 3, priorities, yes, that would be something like maybe goal programming or something. Which one I'm prioritizing more compared to the others? So the benefits of big picture thinking, it can help you to achieve your goals. It can help you to meet your targets. It can then eventually help you to promote overall happiness. So when should you use big picture thinking? Any ideas on this, please? You can switch on your mics and speak, sir.
Actually, sir, as leaders, I think whenever we are doing a thinking process,
yes,
all our decisions have got collateral effect on every next decision or a previous decision what we have taken.
Absolutely.
So big picture thinking is very important for a leader at our level. So that the conclusions are whichever are derived, they became policy for the next time.
Absolutely.
It is not every time that you're thinking for everything at every point of time.
Yes.
Suppose I go on, say I'm trying to have a land escape. I want to first straighten my land, then I have to sow some grass over it, then some flowers, then some ornamental trees. So I have to take a holistic picture that it is not that every time I have to do everything. Correct. It should be that after every decision of mine, one of the things should come permanent and as a habit of.
Yes.
Then only there is good about big picture thinking. That is, I think, a big picture thinking.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, Rajesh sir says long-term visions, which is very good and very true. So it's like, when you're driving a car, so you can see only for the next maybe half a kilometer, 1 kilometer, depending on the terrain. But if you're in an aircraft, you can see a bit more. And if you're in a satellite, you can see far more. So it's a question of how deep you want to see, what sort of perspective you want to have, how long in the future you want to see, and plan for things. So these are situations in which big picture thinking comes in real handy, and it should be used rather than using for day-to-day activities or something. So things which are routine activities there. So let me give you a small example. I think in the morning we were talking about, the force is very structured and disciplined, which is excellent. So immediately it struck to me that in Japan we had a whole system which is called total quality management. So I just write here TQM. I'm sure you would have heard about this TQM. So TQM was a system where every worker on the shop floor was empowered to take decision about how to fix problems. So, and in a positive sense. And it was not for problem for that particular, car or motorcycle, but it was for the entire batch. So they formed those circles, they understood the problems, they corrected those, and this led to companies like Toyota, etc., becoming great. Now, I understand fully that in the forces, we cannot let the last man to design things, but the last man also has a very important role. The last man can also take decisions. His brain is open, it's working. So he is taking decisions. And for that, I'll just take you to JP Datta's film Border. So in Border, what happened was that in one of the trenches, there was a soldier who was grievously injured, and his gun was lying there. And there was another one who was fine, but his gun was broken. It just needed a spring. So the spring was obtained by Mathura Das. He brought it from there and fixed it and somehow bandaged it and used it. So that's an important thing. Your people are empowered to take decisions at a micro and local level. At the same time, people who are sitting at the top, for example, the senior leaders, they can look at a broader picture. So in the previous session, there was discussion about making a policy. So I'm just reminded of a joke which came on the WhatsApp during COVID. So it's an important thing to understand how people who do not understand certain things, they may make a wrong decision, and that's when it can be corrected. So the story was about Indian Armed Forces. I don't know if it is true or false, but it is definitely brings a smile. So what happened? The General Cariappa was there, and General Cariappa, he was called by the Defense Secretary that saying that we don't have money, so we can't give you uniform allowance. So no uniforms from now, and so please tell your soldiers this financial year is okay. Next financial year, no uniforms. So General Saab, he thought for some time, and finally he said, "Well, it's okay if you say that, but just visualize what will happen if I'm standing wearing a dhoti kurta in front of my troops. And if I tell them to do something, do you think they're going to believe me? Do you think they're going to do anything for me?" And that was one argument, one logical argument, which completely changed the perspective. And till date, you have a fantastic uniform, which is provided for by the government. And now, of course, you might have seen the government is also thinking of patenting that uniform, and it is also disallowing civilians from using that, so that in the border and sensitive areas, there is a possibility of keeping that integrity of the forces. Okay, so okay. So for example, perspectives we talked about. So here is two pictures. So what can you make out from this? What do you think is going on over here? You can speak or you can put in the chat. Yes, please. Hello, what is the issue in this picture? Can somebody tell me, please?
One has to get into the shoes of others to realize the actual picture.
Yes, yes. And so as you can see, this one is saying it's deep, and he says, no, it's not. Now, we don't know. There's an optical illusion. Perception changes from the place where you are seeing things. Absolutely right. So that's why it is very important to change your specs. Change your specs every now and then. Get to see the situation from another side and from one another side to get a 360-degree view, and then you'll be able to take a proper decision.
Actually, it also appears that, this understanding has to be both ways.
Yes,
The big brother should also understand the plight and the danger of the younger one.
yes,
We can see that his height is too short.
yes,
So there is a chance, it may be deep for him.
yes,
So this kind of compassion
yes,
and empathy should be in the heart of the person who is stronger, the
Yes.
person who is stronger, and
absolutely.
and who is having more might.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so this is a situation, you can also think of it as a situation where it's a father and child, and they're both in the same kind of pool. The child is obviously smaller, so he feels it's deep, he's scared. And the father says, no, he wants to make his child a good swimmer. So many kind of perspectives can be obtained. Everyone visualizes from his own perception. Very good. Thank you, Satyabradhan. And what happens through this is that, if we are able to give them some food for thought, energize their thinking process, understanding that, because visualization is nothing but an extension of the thinking process. So a simple example could be a person who has stayed only in one location and maybe without television, like most of us. So we are from a generation when televisions were not there. So we wouldn't have had too much idea about what's happening in the US. So at least not in real time. But today's children are getting it in real time. So if they're able to see USSR, if they're able to see Ukraine, they're able to see China, their perception of things is completely different. So you're absolutely right. Everyone visualizes from his own perception, which also is the function of, how much machine learning has been done for your brain so far. Does that make sense to most of the people? Can I have a thumbs up or something in the chat box, or put a tick mark or a cross, or if you don't believe, don't agree with something? Thank you, Prakat. Thank you, Prakat. Okay, so thank you, Sanjay. Okay, so now if we have to understand, do big picture thinking, we have talked about these in the morning also. So you need to first understand what's going on. And then what you have to do is you have to reframe the things and try to state the problem differently, and then take a decision. These could be some of the building blocks. So understanding would be developed through multiple perspectives. And after that, as I've worked in foreign countries, I have worked in the Middle East and in India, and I've also been in Japan. So all of these three economies, they look quite different from outside, but at a DNA level or at a skeletal level, there would be large amount of similarities. Now it's a question of, if a manager is trained to see the similarities, he can understand what the system is and how to navigate through the system. I won't say beat the system, because that's a kind of negative thing, but we can sort of figure out how to navigate through that and get the optimum results. So you reframe your situation or problem to open up possibilities, and then you decide what you have to do to resolve the problem. So this is how we would have typical steps in the big thinking. So the first part is, let's say, understanding. So this graphic just shows some children who are trying to experiment with some objects. So in order to complete the picture, you need to have, we've discussed this also in the morning, why are we doing something? Why are we here? What is the problem? I mean, how did the situation come up? Similarly, the next question has to be what. So that means, let's say you can say, what is at stake? Or, if I overcome this, how will glory be like? How will success be like? And the third one is, how do we go about sorting this out? So these three are important. They will help us to complete the picture and make sure that the quality of our decision at this stage, which is coming out of the problem, that will be far superior compared to if I do a bad job over here. So if I do a bad job, I see only one time view, I pump a lot of resources into it, but I'm overlooking some very, very fundamental things or basic things, then obviously there is not much hope for getting a good quality solution. Okay, so the first part was understanding. Now it's a question of reframing. So what do we do for reframing? So for example, we have a situation, a friend of mine decided that he wanted to have some wine at 12 o'clock in the night. So I was in a fix, all the wine shops were closed, and frankly, I was a bit upset with him that he had not thought of this before. What do I do now? Here is a small thought question for everybody. So can somebody please tell me, some people please discuss this and tell me what should be done or what are the typical possibilities. Yes, over to you, sirs.
Wait for tomorrow.
Yes, please.
Wait till tomorrow for the wine.
Wait till tomorrow for absolutely. Other thoughts, please. Suppose he's adamant. This friend of yours is adamant. Yes, I got a chat. Call of friends. Very good. Yeah. A friend in need is a friend indeed. So I will thank him for the invitation. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, please. Ask help from some friend. Yes, very good. Yeah. Yes.
Use the online delivery guy to order.
Okay. Okay.
That is possible. Yeah.
That's super interesting. Get an online delivery at home. Okay. Wonderful. Any other thoughts on this? Offer some alternatives, very good. So maybe some other alcoholic drink or some NABs or something. Yes, please.
Maybe ask a friend or a neighbor if
Yes,
he has or she has a bottle.
yes, yes, yes. Perfect. So this is how we would actually, we would like to see that. And if you see the discussions, the possibility.
We have a very funny input. I'm really sorry to interject from Sethuram sir saying online delivery.
Sethuramji, I just shared an idea. I have no clue about all these online delivery. I'm so sorry. I would not be of any help here. Maybe somebody in the cohort can get a catch of you and maybe discuss this later.
Okay, so looking at the funnel of possibilities, what all thing is possible? So if you just try to look at the three paradigms that we talked about, the why, how, and what. So in the why, you have situations like, why do you want to have alcohol? So you start asking those questions so that you can drink, and then why you can drink so that you can feel good, and why you can feel good so that you can celebrate. So if you do a bit of probing, you might find this kind of an answer. And then how do you go about meeting that? So look at Google stores near you, which is what we had covered. One thing which didn't come out very clearly was get the car keys and drive, or convince. So this one came out very well. It's time to sleep. We got work in the morning. There is parade at 6:30. Finally, if not wine, I'll have gin. So this was also taken as a possibility or as a option. So we can find that facing these kind of complex situations, if you try to, without getting emotionally attached to some aspect or some perspective, you can hope to get a good quality solution from that. So once we have the understanding, once we have the reframing, now it's a question of taking the decision. So before we think of taking the decision, remember I told you that we have some problems. These are the villains, or these are the the friction points. So what stops us from thinking big picture? Pretty often we don't do that. So what can you see from these two images? This is one image and this is another image. So can somebody describe what you can see from these two images, please? Yes, please. Let's call this as image A, and this one as image B. Yes, please.
The A is fixed with one situation
Okay.
and B has many possibilities.
B has many possibilities. Okay. So can somebody describe some situations or, uh, describe this person in the picture? What could be a potential problem, or what could be uh, the predominant feeling at this point in time? Pointing mistake, she's annoyed at something. Very good, very good. Yes, definitely, definitely. What do you see about B? Somebody mentioned it was many possibilities. So, what are some of the possibilities that can be seen from here? Yes, please. At least one possibility. Yes, there's something in the chat. The size of the picture. Okay. Yes.
She is angry because my maths is weak. I can't
Maths.
calculate that quickly.
Yes, anger consumes thought process. So she's angry. Either she's angry at her students, telling them you don't even know what is this, if I join both the pictures, or she's angry saying that, how the hell did you ask me this question? You think I would give you this answer in a jiffy? So many things depending on what has been the predominant thought process immediately before this. So we found research which says that the human brain works in a very sort of distinct manner, and there could be actually two systems working simultaneously. So there is system one and there is system two. So system one works on intuition and instinct. And 95% of the time, it works like this, for example, and you're looking at unconscious, fast, associative, automatic pilot, and biases and heuristics. So these are some of the terms used to describe. These could be also something like involuntary actions. And then 5% of the time, we're looking at rational thinking, which is slow, logical. It could appear to be indecisive, or economic, and then reason and intellect. So many a times people also call this as hot thinking and cold thinking. Hot thinking and cold thinking. So hot thinking is like full of action. Cold thinking is reasoning. And through another method, when you start looking at the brain, you look at the left brain, left half of the brain, and the right half of the brain. So the left one is full of logic, full of calculation. So maybe chartered accountants, maybe financial analysts. They could be pretty lefty in that sense in terms of using left part of the brain more often, and the right part would be used more by artists, architects, sculptors, and dreamers. So these are the people who can dream. So the right one can dream, and the left one can do the logic. Now, as far as managers are concerned, when a person is young, he's still just entered the workforce, for a few years, he needs to have the left and the logic to understand the numbers, understand the ratios, understand the factors. And then he needs to start looking, also simultaneously developing the right. And as we are talking about thinking the big picture, we can also talk about the small picture. The small picture is what? Something which you have around your desk, or maybe just your immediate vicinity, and big picture is on a wider canvas. So for a manager to be really successful, you need to have good small picture understanding and good big picture understanding. So yes, can I have some thoughts from you, please, on this? Scolding a child for wrong calculation maths. Absolutely, Prakriti. Spot on. Yes. So can I have some thoughts on this intuition and instinct and rational thinking? Yes, please. I'm waiting to hear from you, please. Okay, so maybe people are facing some problems with the audio. Okay, so while we do that, we have a problem of attention, the illusion of attention. So I will take you through a small video to help you to figure out what exactly this breakdown is. Something in the chat thinking has to be deliberate. Okay. Okay. So yeah, thank you, Sandeep ji. So illusion of attention. So let me present to you. Okay. So I think Vani, I'll need your help on this one. Shall I unshare? I think I've got stuck here on the video part.
You want me to share the?
Yeah, can you just play this slide, please?
Just a minute.
Yeah, I need some. Actually, since morning, I've been facing some tech problem on my machine.
No issues.
I'm-
Just give
I'm
me a minute.
stopping. Yeah, I'm stopping the share.
Vani, shall I put the link here on chat for you?
No, I'll do.
Okay, sure.
Somadev, just let me know if the sound is there. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Hi, I'm Richard, this is Sarah, and we're going to perform the amazing colour-changing card trick with this blue-backed deck of cards. Now the idea is very simple. I'm just going to spread the cards in front of Sarah and ask her to push any card towards the camera.
Right, okay, let's see. I'm going to go for this card here.
Okay. Now Sarah could have selected any card at all from the deck, but she selected the card which is now face down on the table. And what I'm going to ask her to do is show us which card she selected.
Right, so the card that I chose was in fact the 3 of diamonds.
The 3 of diamonds, okay, an excellent choice. That card goes back into the deck. Now I'm just going to spread the cards face up on the table. Do a little click of the fingers, and you'll see that Sarah's card here has now got a blue back. Not particularly surprising. What's slightly more surprising is all of the other cards have got red backs. And that is the amazing colour-changing card trick. Hi, I'm Richard, this is Sarah, and we're going to perform the amazing colour-changing card trick with this blue-backed deck of cards. Now the idea is very simple. I'm just going to spread the cards in front of Sarah and ask her to push any card towards the camera.
Right, okay, let's see. I'm going to go for this card here.
Okay. Now Sarah could have selected any card at all from the deck, but she selected the card which is now face down on the table. And what I'm going to ask her to do is show us which card she selected.
Right, so the card that I chose was in fact the 3 of diamonds.
The 3 of diamonds, okay, an excellent choice. That card goes back into the deck. Now I'm just going to spread the cards face up on the table. Do a little click of the fingers, and you'll see that Sarah's card here has now got a blue back. Not particularly surprising. What's slightly more surprising is all of the other cards have got red backs. And that is the amazing colour-changing card trick.
So who's going to describe this? Can somebody describe what happened? Everybody was keenly looking at the video, and we found this magic. So anyway, it's something like sleight of hand. Can I have a few words, please? Yes, please.
While
Maybe
actually
we were too. Yeah, Sanjay ji, please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. While we are concentrating only on the card part, cards part of it, what the speaker was telling, very many things changed, which
Yes,
actually got unobserved,
yes,
and it was very many, including the
yes,
dresses and then a lot of things. Thank you.
yes, yes. So what it shows is that if you're looking at a particular transaction, maybe you need to look at those different parameters, keep checking them, because we are humans. We will make mistakes. Sometimes we will make genuine mistakes. Sometimes we will make, mistakes on purpose, with the idea of, having a more favorable outcome in our favor than in your favor. So if we are not fair, if we want to, maybe cheat you, or we want to do something which is going to cause you some discomfort or cost you some money, people might do that. And that's why a lot of good business processes are established, and that's why processes are established even in almost every human activity. So I hope that makes yeah. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Oops, sorry.
Any help, Dr. Deva?
No. It's done. It's yeah. Okay. So another bias which comes. So that was about the attention. This is about simplicity. So sometimes people will present to you some options in such a simple manner that you feel that this is the optimal solution. Now let's take a look at this one. So a bat and a ball cost 110. So can I have some answers, please, about how much does the ball cost? You can put them in chat if you have a difficulty in speaking. Ten, okay, 5. Any other responses, please? 10, 10, 5. Perfect. So very nice to see so many responses. And it looks like the simplicity bias is working. Now, if one has to just go back and read through this, you find the answer is already hidden there. Now, this was a simple question posed in a research project at an American university, and it was used to figure out how humans react to information. And on that basis, they found that many people who are very careful, they will get the right answers. So the right answer is obviously 5 rupees for the ball and 105 for the bat, so that 5 plus 100 is 105, and both the conditions are met. The conditions which are typically specified for, yes. So what is simplicity bias? Simplicity bias says that we accept contexts that look easy and straightforward. So how do you deal with it? Step back and take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself if you could be asking a bigger question or thinking differently. So can somebody give some examples of simplicity bias? Anything that you see every day or something? Yes, please. So just to give you another example, if you watch on television, there are so many products coming, so many offers coming, and all they say chutki mein kar denge, but we all know reality is not that. Similarly, you pay only so much for getting something, and then they start loading on things on top of that. So that's the another way of looking at the simplicity bias. Then a very important thing in the overall thought process is about activity trap. And what it means, let's take with the help of a simple example. So we have these 9 dots. I'll request you to make it on a sheet of paper. just make these 9 spots. And what you have to do is you have to connect all the dots with 4 lines or less. And the only condition is you're not supposed to lift your pen or pencil. So anybody who can do that and mention in the chat box, that would be wonderful. So we can discuss how this was done. Yes, please. Can somebody describe what would be the method of connecting, if at all it is possible to meet all these 3 conditions? Okay, so Sethuram sir has said, yes, it is possible to do. Kulwant Rai sir has said, yes, it's possible. So how would we go about doing that? If you could just describe. Yes, please. S shape. Okay.
One horizontal line.
Okay. Left to right, right to
Then-
left,
Yeah, right to left
right to
and
left.
straight down.
Okay, straight down.
No, right to left you go. Yes, straight down. Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Then again, left to right,
Left to right, 3,
up and
4.
no,
But this
not
one is not touched.
no. You don't connect that, no.
Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, it's 5. Sorry.
Yes, yeah, no problem.
Hmm.
So all the dots have to be connected. Yes, 4 lines, arrow. What's arrow? Satyavrat sir. 3 horizontal lines. Okay, so how will you do that without lifting the pen? So 1, 2, 3. Yes, please.
Let me tell you,
Yes, sir.
you start from this one, number 1 over here,
Okay,
and go to 2,
okay,
3,
okay,
and cross over outside.
okay,
Then come back to the 6 over here,
okay, okay.
go back to this over here.
Which one?
This one, this number 8,
Number 8. Okay,
middle, and
Yeah.
go outside.
okay,
And then again come straight up to the first one,
okay, okay.
and then diagonally cross, go through down.
Fantastic, fantastic. Brilliant. So this is, who had given that answer, please?
Satya
Can I
brother,
have a
sir.
rou-
Yeah.
Can I have a round of applause, please? I'm putting an applause sticker on my face. So can I have a round of applause, please? If people can switch on their mics, just clap. And we have a very important lesson coming out of this. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So yeah, thank you, Nirman. Thank you. So if we look at this suggestion of going out, in a way, you may say that this is like the proverbial extra mile. So as people say, walk that extra mile. That extra mile gives you greater insights, gives you more stuff. So it might be an excellent idea to consider this as equivalent to walking that extra mile. And every time, whichever company, whichever place a person is working, they want their employees to own up their jobs. They want their employees to own the companies and take responsibility. So if a person is willing to put in that extra time, that's fantastic. You can hope to get good results with least possible time. Okay, so another activity trap is, what is it? So we confuse being busy with being productive, and we fail to see the big picture. So here was the situation: we are trying to do many things, we are not able to see the big picture. And what do we? How do we deal with that? We ask yourself, what's keeping me busy, and what is it the task that if the task is important, and if there is a way out, it can be done differently. That is more productive. And all of you would be knowing definitely productivity enhancement would mean either lesser inputs for same output or same inputs for more output, etc. So either ways it can be measured in terms of efficiency. Okay, so the next thing which happens typically, you would have witnessed that during COVID times, late evenings, etc. So you have a tired and emotional outcome. So what does tired and emotional do? The conscious application of mind requires energy. So the brain is like the CPU, and it requires tremendous amount of blood circulation, tremendous amount of energy. So if we are tired and emotional, we are not able to spend that energy. So what do they say? When people say when you're making mistakes, you don't need to keep on practicing or something. You need to take some rest. Go out and get some fresh oxygen. Just get up from your seat and move. So take a break and take measured, shallow breaths. Pretend to feel great. Emotions will follow. Check in with yourself. What's making you feel so, and how you can exercise control. So if you're tired and emotional, you're not able to think, it's time to just switch the frame and go to something else and come back. Okay, so here is a small bias which is called recency bias. And in the recency bias, human beings try to remember something which has just happened or which is very recent in the memory. So I'll ask you a simple question. Complete 4-letter words. The first one is SEAT. The second one is B and T. So can I have some words in the chat? EL. Okay. Yes, some more words, please. Yeah, belt is coming. Beat, bolt. Yes, belt. Boot. Coat. Best. Yes, perfect. So what is happening many a times, we try to look back from the most recent phenomenon. That's a very human tendency. So for example, in your setup, you would have a situation that last time some event happened, and now this time you want to see how to react to that. If something of that sort happens, you're going to look back and learn from that. So that's the sort of a bias also. It's a great source of learning, but also a bias because it may prevent you from thinking, yeah, wait is wonderful. It may prevent you from thinking about the other perspectives. So our perspective to the new situation is influenced by what has recently transpired. And then you need to understand what's the new situation, ask how you could understand the situation on its own merit, and challenge assumptions. So very important thing is to challenge the assumptions, because once you challenge the assumptions, you will be in a position to find some better outcomes. So we saw these thinking traps like illusion of attention, activity bias, recency bias, simplicity, tired and emotional. These are the things which are draining your energy in a way, so to say. So they are pulling you back. They are like a parachute at the end of a fighter jet when it's about to land. So it's just holding everything back. So we need to overcome these. So now the question is, as you walk out of the door, think about a situation you're in or a challenge you're facing. What is the challenge you're working on currently? Why does this challenge matter? Why is it important? What is your vision of success? What more do you need to know about the context situation? How could you reframe your challenge so that there is more meaningful? What thinking traps could come in the way to solving this challenge? And how can you overcome these thinking traps? So if you try to have an open mind on solving a problem, chances are you will get a better outcome. You will feel more satisfied with that you have considered all the aspects, and you've considered all the aspects, and your solution is what is known as a satisfying solution. So which is sufficient, and it's also satisfying all the counterparties concerned. So what is the one insight that you're taking away from this workshop? Can I have you all on cam, please? And so that we can have some discussion, please, on your mics, kindly switch on. Yes, please. I know you're very exhausted.
So from the top, we have shared
Yes.
regarding the recency bias. Does
Yes.
this mean that we should not rely on the experience? Normally, we say that experience has to be relied upon, and it has
Yes.
been accrued over due to exposure to situations, similar situations, I would say.
Yes. Yes.
Now, going back this recency bias trap,
Yes.
we should take the experience with a pinch of salt.
Yes and no. Can I have other views as well? It's a very nice point that you raised, sir. Yes, can I have some more views on this?
So the question is, due to recency bias, Nirman ji is saying that experience is a good backup while taking decisions. But according to the session, there's a recency bias. So should experience be discredited, or it should be taken up? Nirman ji,
Yes.
have I ordered or have I summarized your question well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, thank
So
you.
can I have some thoughts on this, please? This is really,
Actually, ma'am and sirs, this thought process is supposed to be very comprehensive. It should not have any bias, but we should also draw inferences from whatever have happened in the past and what are the possibilities of the future.
yes.
And thought process should be trained also. It should be original also, and it should come out from the heart also, from the gut also, and from the mind also. So it is a complex process, and the best thing is what we have done together. We have all interacted with each other, and by interactions, the thought process is defined in a better manner. Thank
So
you.
thank you. That was wonderful. So when somebody says, I have one idea, and another person says, I have an idea, so both of us have one idea each. But if we sit together and collaborate and discuss the ideas, both of us have two ideas. So what happens with ideas, with communication, with collaboration, is that you get some more inputs, you get more possibilities. The brain can start, reviewing and visualizing situations in either context. Now, coming back to this question, so just in the previous session in Arvind sir's class, we were having a discussion about experience and about constant learning. So today's mantra, as all of you will be knowing, is a time of lifelong learning. So we know that. Yes, please.
Yeah, Dr. Deva, I'm really sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get to know more examples from our DIGs, from sirs, your senior officers. So,
Yes.
any of you would have any any anecdotes, personal narratives from your daily lives or from operational situations where you kind of connected with any of the biases that we had, some thinking traps that you had fell into, or there was a way that you identified across ways around it, whether it is illusion of attention, for example, in particular operation, maybe micro focusing on a particular detail way too much, or with simplicity bias, thinking of the simple way around it and rather not looking at the bigger picture. Any particular operation
For 10
situation,
minutes.
anything? Yeah. No responses?
I think, Somadev, before, by the time the cohort is thinking, our human brain is wired for biases. I mean, we cannot have a state wherein we are not biased. That is a state when we have actually, we are enlightened and we see things beyond their physical forms, or, comprehend. And moreover, human body or human brain has 5-dimensional way of taking the inputs. There can be many things, and each dimension has its own limitations. So very good question Nirman ji has put up, and he has said that experience should be discredited experience. I would say no, but we should not only take experience as the sole basis for a new decision making. And that's where I'll go with Dr. Deva. He said yes and no. Because sometimes what we dealt and what were the situations in past experience doesn't work in the current situation. So how do we do that? We take a step back. Of course, we take the learnings from the past experience, take a step back, maybe take a corollary out of that decision, and maybe add new layers which are relevant in that particular situation and think through. The idea is to how do we limit down our biases? The only way is to step back. The first step is, in fact, be aware that you can be biased. the acceptance that the limitation that anybody can be biased. Now, once I'm aware that I can be biased while taking decisions, do I take a step back and look at it from a distance, a third person's perspective, and look at it objectively, and then take a call? I think that's where your experience comes into, but you are not limiting yourself with experience only. You are bringing in the new perspective as well. So I would say, Nirmanji, experience surely not to be discredited, but the whole idea is let's not sit on the experience and then take a decision, take a step back, involve more variables, and then take that call. Anybody who would like to share, Amreenji or anybody can share an instance where, or maybe they have a better way of dealing with such situations, and then they took a call. That would be a great example for the cohort to take forward. Anybody?
In fact, when the experience, when we talk about experience, it is always
sir.
based on the domain knowledge. And that whenever experience is used, domain knowledge always works at the foundation level. The combination of both the things manifests in planning for something new. It is not only the experience, because at subconscious level, the domain knowledge happens to be there, because if it is not there, the experience does not carry any meaning.
Yes.
Suppose if I start teaching somebody how to plan an operation of attack, to a history professor, he doesn't have a domain knowledge. Or if I tell him some experience, he will not be able to appreciate it. He will not be able to understand the terminologies. So what Nirman was trying to say is that the problem that we are facing is that the one who has the experience, the one who has the domain knowledge, has no say in policy making of this force. And he is completely disconnected with the government, because the interface between government and the force is a person who does not have domain knowledge, who does not have experience. That was what he was trying to point out.
Okay. Point taken, Rajeshji, and thank you, Nirmanji, for raising that question. Surely, yes, domain knowledge definitely will be. Example, to understand BSF better or how things work, we had to reach out to people who were in those positions, who had gone through, the day-to-day. If you ask me, understanding problems of BSF, when we got this mandate to conduct this training, I would accept it publicly and say, no, we only have the information which is there in the public domain, and forces doesn't have much of information in public domain. Now, how do we go by it? So the team, led by Dr. Nitin Batra and Brigadier Sir, went and had an advisory committee of ex-BSF people, the current BSF people, and then they shared their experience. On the basis of that, we came up with a course which might, or which with an intention that it would be as close to the areas that you would like to work on. So yes, very correctly said, Rajeshji, domain knowledge is important. But if, say, for instance, there is a situation where you don't have a domain knowledge, you can reach out to people of the domain knowledge and then, take that stance or maybe that decision making. So that's what I was talking about when I said that, experience, we shouldn't sit on it. Maybe have more inputs from people around, experts around, reach out to people, and they help you to look at a point with a different perspective, or maybe with a lot more inputs that you are not able to, fathom, or you're not able to see. So thank you, Deva, for taking this up. And we connect after this particular session a little later. And before we go, I'll just take small time to wrap up what we did today. Today, we formally initiated the workshop. We started with the model or the framework that we would be talking about, or we'll be taking you through this entire workshop, the talents of a leader, wherein today we just set the context about setting direction. But before that, we went a step behind setting direction, and it was all about the impact that we would like to leave while we are no longer leaders. And that was a session all about the impact that you want to have, where we talked about vision, mission, values, and then there was a discussion about the different values. In fact, we had Satyaji who said that you should add one more value to that diagram, that is flexibility, agility. Point noted, Satyaji. We would be taking that forward, and while we take the next batch, we would be adding that as well. Then we got into a dive of how our teams are working on those values. Then in the next session, we talked about thinking big picture. A leader is the one who is futuristic, think not in present, but charts out or fixes a North Star, which is in future, and how he or she directs the entire team towards that. And that was the idea of thinking big picture. But how do we think big picture, and what stops us from doing that? The biases were discussed, and hence we had covered the biases. Tomorrow, the session is going to deep down into the various, the model more. And we would be talking about one of the biggest, we would start with a voluntary meditation session, which would start at 9:15. I would suggest attend Dr. Neha's session. They are magical. I have been, highly, helped by her sessions during the BSF courses. She would talk about breathing. She would talk about pranayam, anything that you can do while sitting in your office. Then we will start with the session wherein my colleague will take a session about your leadership aura, which would be taken up by Dr. Shikha. She would explore and learn about your own. In this session, she would enable you to explore about your own leadership styles, strength, and areas of improvement, the way you lead, and examine what are the approaches available and how you can be better in that particular area. Then we would be joined by our guest speaker, Dr. Satyendra Garg, ex-IPS officer. He would take the reins forward on leadership, and he would suggest out of his experience about what it is to have leadership aura and how we can strengthen it in wherever we work. Post-lunch, we'll have a session on understanding others, which would be taken up by Dr. Pooja Sareen. It's one of the most interesting sessions wherein we will be doing a psychometric called DISR, which is inspired from DISC framework. A great session. I must say, you would learn a lot about your own personality and personalities of people that you are working with and understand them better. And then towards the end, we would have, once we have understood our own leadership styles, we have understood others, how do we, how do we explore and build trust among or enhance trust with people around us. So that's what is lined up tomorrow. And with this, there is a feedback link in the chat. I would suggest click on that link and share the feedback. I would suggest my team to also share this feedback link on the WhatsApp group that we have so that you share. We take your feedback very seriously. Be open and I would encourage you to share feedback so that we become better and make the iterative changes so that these 5 days are a great investment, a learning investment for all of you. And in the least, I would say take good care of yourself. You are important to the country, to nation, to the generation, the future generation, and most of all, you are precious to the families and friends and loved ones back home. Take good care of yourself till the time we meet again tomorrow. Shubh Ratri, Jai Hind. Thank you. The link would be open for another 7 minutes. We'll go off camera. This entire infrastructure is for you to connect. But while you're doing so, take time to fill that feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.